All right. 5 past. What do you say, everyone? Should we get started?
Let's
Cool. All right. Well, welcome, everyone. Welcome to this month's community call. If you joined earlier, you heard some lovely Thanksgiving jokes. If you're just joining, I apologize. You missed them. Yeah. So just gonna get started here. First things first, this call is recorded, so it will be posted in the hashtag foundation channel after this call is done. If you come up on stage or anything like that, you're going to be recorded. Just a heads up there. Um, I typically do a a little disclaimer here at the start, so just bear with me. Our note taker. Do we have a note taker? Is that waveform? Just want to confirm there. Perfect. Thank you, waveform. If there's any additional items, questions, anything you want to bring up, you can also type in the chat or just ping waveform. The community call document has just been posted in the chat, so feel free to follow along in there. Starting out with our Discord safety reminder, I know I do this every month. There's been a big surge in scammers lately, posting fake links, posing as support, posing as official Helium support they'll send you a friend request and send you a DM. Please note that is never the case. There is no official Helium support. We will not DM you unless otherwise said in a public space that we will. Bear in mind that the scammers also clone our profiles. So if you see a message coming from myself, Keenan, Waveform, a moderator on Discord, it is not real. Look very closely at those Discord names. They tend to change a letter or two or add a period somewhere. We will not DM you. There is no support. So please, please, please keep that in mind. We don't want you inputting your seed phrase in any websites and getting your tokens drained. Always ask your questions in public, and we will respond to you in public. Otherwise, we will specifically set up a chat with you. Okay. Secondly, the Moken bot. I like to bring this up every month. The awesome guys at Moken have given us access to their AI chatbot. You can find that in the Discord under the welcome section, and it's called Ask Moken Bot. Really quick and easy place. You can just go type your questions. You can ask about your hotspot, why it's not earning well, or whatever the question may be. If you want to know how much it is to assert location, if you want to look up stats on it, it's really, really awesome. Give it a shot. I'll post a link to it right now in the chat. There you go. Go have fun with that. Thank you again, Moking guys. That thing is awesome. And lastly, if you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, message me whenever in the Discord, any channel, just ping me. I'll be happy to assist you with whatever you need. I'm here to facilitate this community and make it better. Always looking for suggestions on how to improve. Feel free to send me suggestions, myself or Waveform. Okay, so we're just going to move on to our first subject is an engineering update. Looks like we have Hashcode and Noah up, so if you guys can take it away and give us an update of what's going on engineering side.
Bye. You want me or you to do it?
Yeah. Why don't you go first, and then we'll round up.
Yeah, you can fill in the gaps. I'm sure I'll miss things, but then a lot of implementation on 138. HIP 138, which is the return to HNT, which is mostly what we've been focused on. There's pretty soon, hopefully, going to be some big work coming down the pipe for IoT. We're about to put it into pull request, but that's putting all of the dev adders, OUIs, net IDs, all of that stuff on chain, which will be pretty cool. One step closer to IoT being fully decentralized. That is basically what I've got. We've also, I guess, to explain some issues people are having with the wallet app, Solana is under an insane amount of congestion right now because, bull market, tons of people are running transactions. It's not the same as, a year or two ago Solana now can handle that congestion, but you have to set priority fees higher to get your transactions through. Um, and so, you might notice that when you go try to claim rewards for your hotspots or anything like that, it's starting to cost more now to do that. Um, there's not much you can do about this. It's, you either pay a high transaction fee and get your transaction through quickly, or you pay a low transaction fee and potentially don't get it through or have to wait a very long time. Um, and that's basically your options. There are some other errors that we're seeing in the wallet app that actually aren't related to congestion, but seem like they might be, and we're working on fixes. So there will be a, I think, 2.10.2 release coming out. And then eventually, I guess another big part of the engineering update is we're working on a complete reskin of the app and kind of revamping it and, you know, basically improving the UX, and that will be a wallet app release v3, which we're hoping to release around the same time as HIP 138 goes live.
Can I just jump in real quick there as well? We're seeing quite a few people come into the Discord asking about the minimum SOL requirements for transactions. Just want to confirm that you need a minimum amount of SOL to do any kind of swaps, sends, or anything like that. That amount is, correct me if I'm wrong, 0.02 SOL.
Yeah, 0.02 SOL is just a kind of an estimate that we made based on the fact that occasionally on Solana you have to do what's called paying rent. So if you create any state on chain, you have to actually pay for that state. Um, so, when you're doing a swap, for example, you might create a brand new token account where you didn't have a token account before, and that's going to cost more than just a transaction fee. But I can't I can't promise that 0.02 SOL will always be correct, because if you're trading some really 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 popular meme coin, sometimes the transaction fees can get really crazy. Um, so just
Right.
always, when the transaction preview pops up, it'll show you if you have enough SOL, and it'll show you if you have insufficient balance, and it will also show you what fee you're going to pay.
Perfect. Okay, just wanted to double check there, so keep that in mind, everyone.
Yeah,
Hatchcode, yeah,
no,
if you had anything to add.
no other things to add. Noah got the little bits around the uh, 3.0 version of the wallet app. I know that there's one question here. Can the wallet bypass the 0.02 SOL requirement for the HNT to SOL swapper? We have the it's kind of auto rent feature, auto gas feature that's in the app. And we have the sort of, yeah, exactly. Um, we can, and Noah's already answering. Yeah, it's the same code as the docs widget. So that swapper does work, and it does a better job in the app than it does in the docs widget that we had when we first launched on Solana. As far as the question, there's the sort of half trolley question of like, what do we do? Do we migrate again? I think the Solana network is already making quite a bit of upgrades to sort of help with some of the issues that are going on, and as much as memes are taking up a lot of block space on the network, it's also driving a lot of infrastructure improvements. Something that just recently launched, I believe last week, was something called timely vote credits, and this is a way to effectively force validators to use good hardware and not intentionally slow down, and sort of make the network slower because of some economic benefit to the individual validator operator. Solana is getting better. RPCs are getting better. We are also trying to make our proxy better. So we have a proxy that allows all of our community to use the Helium wallet app, and that Helium wallet app is the sort of primary way that everybody here often uses Solana for Helium related things. So we're sort of working on continually getting that to be better as well. There are a couple of ideas that we have around how do we make it even easier for people to do claims, for example, if they want to claim their rewards for their hotspots. And so yeah, so more coming soon on ideas around that. But one of the ideas that we've had is, what if there was a part of emission that is of HNT emissions that is sort of permanently allocated to doing all the stuff that's kind of rote and repetitive on the network, and that individuals have to do today. Like, could the protocol pay for that instead, right? So really, what that means is, could the HNT that's emitted by the protocol pay for things like claiming? So something to think about that that we are still trying to figure out if it even makes sense to propose. But it's outside of all the other stuff that's going on, we're also thinking about sort of UX improvements like this. The question around in-app revenue splits for hotspots, that's not something the protocol really feels like we should be doing. But there are other protocols that enable this. There's things like soul splits, and there are apps like Relay and other folks like that. And I know that there are definitely some people out there who have talked about this repeatedly. I mean, even on our old L1, have talked about this. I think ultimately, like, each one of these kinds of contracts are very bespoke to the individual deployer and maybe the host that the deployer is associated with. And I don't know if we can really solve for all of those different kinds of contracts that they might have.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much. Just cruising through the chat here. It's moving pretty quickly, actually, just to make sure I'm not missing any questions. All right. I think we're good. All right. We're going to move to HIP's implementation status. Mad Ninja, looks like you've got an update for us.
Yeah, hear me okay?
Can hear you good.
Okay. So we got a bunch of stuff on the docket beyond, usual weekend distractions, or unusual weekend distractions, I should say. So HIP 109 has been active for a while, and so was started but not completed. So right now so for clarity, like HIP 109 is like a device-specific boosting by device type, right? So you could pick Wi-Fi or CBRS. Nova has so far has basically not been interested in doing boosting anymore, and without CBRS, it sort of becomes default, assuming that happens. So right now we are not prioritizing like implementing HIP 109 anymore. HIP 114 is referral programs that is active and deployed. In fact, Referral Elite, I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but just the referral program operates using the referral programs, and that includes like network matching up to a certain point and all that. That's already like done and deployed. HIP 118, which is verification mappers, is operational but not activated. So it's collecting data. It's going into buckets so it actually look at what it would look like if discovery mappers basically get promoted into verification mappers when correct, and then what verification mapping would do to both rewards and how many hotspots will get covered in like the current state of affairs. So that's active. That's working right now, but not actually active in the sense that you won't get rewarded for verification mapping. There is a number of application changes and lining up with mobile, like Helium mobile plans, to like figure out, as well as sort of gaming adjustments, to like try to figure out what the best setup there is. And so that's still ongoing and taking its sweet time. I wish we could be quicker there, but right now that basically is sort of where it stands. We're collecting data that started, I guess, earlier this month, which is a good thing. And then the app stuff is not going to happen until like at least Q1 next year. HIP 118. part 1 was deployed around July 10th. And then for part 2, there's active ongoing. In fact, I was working on this just the other day, which is to backfill the blockchain with all the deployment info, like height and azimuth, so it's not stored on internal systems, but actually stored on chain. That is active, and so in the current Builder app, when you assert your deployment of your height and azimuth for like an outdoor Wi-Fi, it goes to both the chain and the internal config service to try to like at least backfill or not make the leakage any worse. There is a firmware update required to use this this new deployment info that is on chain. Wallet v3, which now I just talked about, is going to make these assertions or deployment info updates like active on chain only, and then in January-ish we'll basically start backfill all the hotspots that we know of that don't have any like what we call deployment info on chain. That's sort of like the part 2. Just a lot of like moving pieces, which is why it takes longer than anybody would hope. And that, I believe, is all the hips that I was going to cover today. It's a mouthful, going quickly. Sorry.
No, that was great. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
All right.
Just wanted to circle back real quick. I've just noticed a bunch of people using the Ask Moken bot, which is fantastic. Hashcode made a good point that I usually bring up, but I forgot this time, was do not put any private information in there. Do not put your seed phrase in there, your address, number, anything like that that you don't want people to see. As moderators of this community, we can see what's happening in there. We can jump into your conversations and assist if the bot is incorrectly giving you information that shouldn't. So what if the Moken bot asked me for the seed phrase? I would hope you would not give it your seed phrase, even if it's asking. So please don't put any information that you don't want shared or anyone seeing in there. Glad you're using it. Please do. It's awesome. Just no private information. Cool. Okay, on that note, moving forward to Helium HIP 138. Haven't heard of this one before. Hashcode, you wanna talk about this one? This is new to me.
It's a new one.
Oh, cool.
So HIP 138. What a wild ride. And so, the voting completed last Friday, and IoT and HNT approved it. And what did that mean? And mobile rejected it roughly at the last minute. So what did that mean? That created quite a lot of excitement over the last weekend, certainly. The mobile working group has met several times. The community has had a lot of chatting in our Discord, on Twitter, everywhere. I believe other projects out there have proposed that mobile should join it as a full-on meme coin. That's incredibly exciting, I guess, for them. But yeah, like lots of sort of opinions have been going around. Ultimately, one thing that did come up, for me and a couple of other folks also mentioned it to me, was rushing something over the weekend was probably not the right thing to do. Especially because implementation of any of this is going to take several weeks anyway. So it really does make sense to let the dust settle. It also allowed the individual voter who ultimately swayed the vote towards a negative on the mobile side to come forward over the weekend. And so, I think, or actually yesterday. And so, I think what I've been getting out of all this is that there's a lot of rooms of opportunity. There's a room for opportunity for the Helium network and its governance system. Like that's like number one. I think, although I think that it's very clear what the vote says, it's also clear that there's sufficient folks in the community that want to see another path being explored. There are sort of counter hips that are going on. I think Daniel put out a counter hip that I thought was also that those sort of really kind of thought through. Hey, let's just revote. One of the issues of revoting is it wasn't sure what this individual party would have done with that revote as well. So waiting made the most sense. I think that's what ultimately the mobile working group came up with as well. So yesterday we did hear from the specific party who had voted against the mobile vote, and between general community sentiment, this particular individual's statements, and their proof of the fact that they control their wallets on chain, that's also important, and the sort of direction of the mobile working group, I think it's correct to call HIP 138 fully passed, and the core devs are going to implement it fully. So that is our plan. We are going to implement it as written. And I think the next thing that's important for us to do is that we should start thinking about the governance system. And I don't want us to rush into it. I don't want us to, I think we do have a proposal, and this is something that, Noah and I and some others have been talking through over the last couple of days, actually last couple of weeks, with a couple of the other authors of HIP 138. And we're going to drop a draft at some point, but I want the two working groups, the IoT working group and the mobile working group, to think it through, because it is important to really sort of treat this as an opportunity to reset some of the governance expectations of the network. So that's what's happening, and let's freaking go. I mean, that's the simplest thing to say.
LFG. All right. Did you want to chat is moving extremely fast right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Really kind of keep
Lord.
up with that.
I was having trouble. Also, yeah.
Right. So I don't know if you want to put questions in HIP 138 channel, and we'll.
Yeah, I mean, let's get back to the HIP 138 channel.
Cool. I'll post a link.
I think that's the best place to do it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's going to get muddied here if that's the case. All right. Well, thank you, Hashcode. Appreciate the update. Questions, post them in the HIP 138 channel. We'll get to those. Cool.
Whoever built that heliumroadmap.com thing should update it. Step 1 complete. Also, whoever did that, come tell me.
Please post that in chat. There we go. Excellent.
You got to get some HTTP on there or something. There it is.
There we go. All right, we're going to move forward to the working groups. So first up, we have a IoT working group update from Joey. Please, Joey, take it away.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to follow all that excitement. But the IoT working group has been full steam ahead. Just this past month, we had working group elections and added a whole bunch of new members. I won't list them all here because there's a bunch of them, and I'll probably forget one, and it's not intentional. But they've been hard at work already on a number of topics. So with these new folks, we've sort of approved a new charter. I think we've approved it. But the working group now is administrating a portion of the IoT Ops Fund. And so this gives the working group the ability to apply funds for topics improving the IoT network or usage on the IoT network. And so just this past Monday, the working group approved 2 new grants. One is the continuation of the Edge Deny list. And so we give congratulations to Starwatcher, who's also a working group member, recused from this vote, but we'll be continuing the work on the Edge Deny list that was previously established to make sure that gaming was curbed on the IoT network. And then the second goes to Gristle King, and this is Nick, who's going to be doing some educational materials, namely around leveraging Node-RED. as a means to build and deploy sensors on the IoT network. And so there's going to be a number of videos and documentation that go along with that as well. And so my congrats to those first two IoT working group grantees. And I'm excited to see the outcomes of that. They are already fully in the pipeline of getting agreements signed via Foundation and all of the sort of back office stuff. And so also thank you to the folks on the Foundation team handling that. And I'm going to read ahead. Okay, I'm not going to steal BFG Neil's thunder because I see there's a little HIP update down towards the end, but just a footnote for HIP 137, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, that is the TLDR on the IoT working group.
Just a quick note there, if you're seeing the chat, Neil says, "Do it. I'm not able to talk."
Okay, so yeah, HIP 137 is live. Yeah, that is the update hash code. I just double checked it and I saw it went live, 30 minutes ago. So get in there and vote. This is the proposal to remove proof of coverage from hotspots leveraging the CN 470 frequency band. So these are predominantly hotspots in China. And for a number of reasons, both on sort of support of CN 470, as well as the gaming that we've seen in that region, this HIP proposes to eliminate proof of coverage rewards for these hotspots up until the point that they can be appropriately detected by anti-gaming mechanisms. So give that a read, hop into the discussion channel. Neil's been fantastic about answering questions and sort of the discourse around this HIP. So I thank him for writing it.
Awesome. Thank you, Joey. And yeah, just a quick note there as well. The IoT working group meets Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. If you're looking for these events, just look in the top left corner of your Discord on desktop at least. There's a tab that says events. They're all listed there for every week. Click the little icon to remind yourself to join that call. And the recordings of those calls are posted in the IoT working group or mobile working group fishbowl channels. I just posted that. Wow, in the chat, it's already moved past pretty quickly. It's IoT-working-group. It's called a fishbowl channel because the working group members can only speak in there, but the calls are recorded and are posted in that channel. So if you miss it on Monday, you can always listen to it later on throughout the week. Okay. Next up, we've got an update from the mobile working group. I think, Jay, are you coming to speak on this one? Let's see in the chat there. Perfect. Come on up, Jay.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, take it away.
Great. Sorry, I wasn't planning on giving this, so I don't have anything really prepared. But to run through what we're working on really quickly, currently live on Helium Vote is the mobile working group election. Half of our members are, their seats are up right now. That vote is live for, I want to say, another day. I can't remember exactly, but go vote today and you'll have your vote counted. I think there are 8 people running for 5 seats there, if I am remembering those numbers correctly. What else? We already talked about 138. I don't need to go through that. HIP 139 is to sunset CBRS. That HIP has its own channel. Currently working through a couple of small issues on that. I think it will be ready to go for a vote sooner rather than later. I wouldn't anticipate that like immediately or anything like that, but we should see that vote going live fairly soon. And then we did also pass, since the last community call, we also passed HIPS 132, which is the Scaling Mobile Mappers HIP. Sorry, Keenan, I see this like next on the agenda, and I don't see zero tweets here, so I'm just going to roll into these if that works.
Yeah, please go for it.
Okay, so 132 scaling mobile mappers, that should increase the amount of people providing location data to the network, which will help inform. So not only does it get a lot more users on the network, but it'll help us inform and help us figure out where we need to place hotspots. HIP 133 bridging anti-gaming measures passed. That's phase 2 of that. Previously, we passed phase 1. It's more or less the things that are guiding us to the full implementation of HIP 118, which is verification mapping. And HIP 134, reward mobile carrier beta hotspots, that passed as well. That was Jay Hella's HIP. That allows hotspots that transfer a lot of data from carriers to qualify for POC rewards. So that's what we have done, what we're working on, what we expect upcoming. We meet every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, except tomorrow because it's a holiday here in the States. You can find us every Thursday, 2 p.m. in the working group channel.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but you always do such a good job, so I don't feel bad.
Happy to help.
Yeah, just on that note, I think Boris is out today, so appreciate you jumping in. Okay, good move forward. Just on that note, if Fizzy or Jay Hella wanted to talk on either HIP 133 or 134, by all means, I'll just pause there for 5 seconds and see if you want to come up on stage and talk about that. Otherwise, we'll just move forward. Jay Hella is good. And I don't see Fizzy, so I think we're gonna move forward. Okay. Next HIP's up for voting. We just talked about this one, IoT HIP 137, remove CN 470 from IoT POC. I assume we're just gonna, BFG Neil, if you want to confirm that you have nothing more to add on that. It's already up for voting, obviously. I assume Joey's explanation has sufficed. He says, go vote. Okay, perfect. I'll take that as move on. All right, and Mobile HIP 139. Again, this is Boris. However, Mad Ninja, do you have anything to add on that one, maybe?
No, as far as I can tell, it's ready to go to vote, and it's just been delayed because of the 138 shenanigans.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. And I'll just pause there for 1 second as well, just to see if there's any questions about 139. And if I didn't state it, HIP 139 is phasing out CBRS for everyone listening. If you have any questions about that, I will post in the chat. Oh, Jay beat me to it. Thanks, Jay. The HIP 139 phase out CBRS channel. Post your questions in there. I'm sure some people are probably a little bit confused as to what's going on with that, but yeah, we can explain it. Okay. Going to say HIP's currently voting is CN 470 from BFG Neil. So, like he said, go vote. Doesn't look like there's any new HIPs or updates in the agenda here. And just seeing if there's any other questions. Going to pause there for 1 moment. HIP 124 going live or being canceled? I don't know. It's a good question. Anyone want to touch on that one?
Oh, I can touch on that actually. HIP
Perfect.
124. The code is implemented and ready to go, but I don't think it's worth deploying it, to be honest. With HIP 138, the subtokens are all migrating back to HNT. I don't want to be trying to chase bug fixes and stuff on HIP 124 while we're trying to get HIP 138 out. I have some ideas that will probably come in the form of a HIP here pretty soon around what governance should look like post HIP 138, and that includes some of the ideas from HIP 124. So it will live on in spirit, but not in the current implementation. Although, I might be overridden.
Awesome.
Yeah, voted is voted, but implementation timelines are implementation timelines.
Well, appreciate the answer there. All right, it looks like we've come to the end of our agenda. So I'm just going to pause there for 5 seconds, see if anyone has anything else to add on stage here. Otherwise, we can wrap up for Thanksgiving. All right. I will take that as nothing else. So, okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining again today. Once again, this call has been recorded. It will be posted in the Foundation channel later today. The next call is actually scheduled for December 25th. So clearly we're going to have to reschedule that one. Once we have an appropriate date, we'll let you know. Otherwise, thank you again, everyone, for joining. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Have a lovely turkey day. Enjoy your weekend. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone. All right. Take care.